Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have Peter Wolf from Azamba presenting on your first 100 days of CRM. And I know you're all eager to get started with the presentation. So before I pass it over to Peter, I just want to remind you that we are recording this webinar and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. So now I'm going to pass it on over to Peter to kick off our presentation.
Thanks, Angie. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today. And thanks to Novia for allowing the opportunity to present your first 100 days of CRM. So I'm going to get started. As Angie said, I'm Peter Wolf with the Azamba Consulting Group. I've spent the last 20 years helping small and medium-sized companies excel and grow their businesses through the use of CRM. So we've got a lot of experiences with helping customers. We've helped over 400 small, medium-sized customers with CRM. So that's kind of our sweet spot. My hope today is to give you some advice if you are using CRM currently and you're struggling with it, or you're thinking about getting CRM and you want to make sure you maximize your success. Hopefully this set of best practices, tips, and tricks that we've learned the hard way over the last 20 years will help you in your business. So a lot of it is very practical advice. And again, I've learned these lessons the hard way, so hopefully you won't have to. We have, and if you're interested, we have a CRM readiness survey, and we'll put that in the chat so that you can click that if you're interested in looking at CRM. We're about to launch a CRM audit as well, so if you already have CRM and are struggling with it, you'll be able to just do a quick assessment. These surveys, these quizzes are just designed to be fun, light, easy breezy things to flip through and just really give you a score on how well you're doing and give you some ideas on how to accelerate your usage. So with that said, I'm going to jump ahead here, and I need to figure out, here we go. Nope, that did not work. There we go. So just to talk about just a little preamble here is, why are you looking at CRM? Why do you have CRM? For me, a big part of why we all are looking at CRM and CRM is exploding is we now live in a customer experience economy. And certainly people have said, Peter, we've always lived in a customer experience economy. Customers have always called the shots. But that's more true today than ever before, because with the rise of the internet, the internet era is here and it's inescapable. And so what we're seeing out there is if we disappoint a customer, they have, within 5 minutes, they can go get a list of our competitors, and all those traditional differentiators just no longer work. Being the local experts, being the best price, being just whatever your differentiators were, they've all been kind of eroded. And there's real world winners and losers out there. So if you've seen the statistics, a business starting today has a naturally shorter life than a business that was started 100 years ago. And the truth is that, again, it's just that customer experience economy is just driving this. And customers today demand a consistent, high quality experience. I say this a lot because I believe it. And if you think about the way you work with vendors and people you purchase from, and think about your own customers and prospects, people may be polite, but they also are very insistent that they get that consistent, high quality experience. And if we aren't providing it, they will find someone who will. And this all leads to some very common business killers. So what's causing the demise of the modern business is fragmented teams. I think this is the root cause of most of it is the fragmented teams. And I'm gonna get to how that happens in a second, but fragmented teams, that could be your salespeople are working in silos. So a lot of salespeople are still working in Excel spreadsheets, or you're going to your accounting system to get data, but everyone's kind of working in silos within the sales team. And then if you look beyond the sales team, the service team is separated from the sales team. The accounting team is separated from both of those. So everyone's in their own little worlds. It leads to inconsistent messaging, slow response times, uninformed responses. So you call me up and I might give you an answer, but I might not know that, what you've ordered in the past, or kind of how we've treated you in the past, or your preferences. That just, all of this leads to unsatisfying experiences, which leads to that high turnover for our customer base. And again, the number one root cause behind the fragmented teams is silos of information expertise. And as I mentioned, it's very common in businesses where We've grown organically, people move quicker, and I've seen a massive evolution over the last 20 years alone, where when I first started helping businesses with CRM, most of it was account-based selling. So account managers had a customer or a certain set of customers or a region, and they kind of operated on their own as a fiefdom. And so that was fine back in the day. But now in this world where everybody has to move faster, I'm seeing more and more team-based selling. So yes, Peter might be running the point on this handful of customers, but Peter doesn't operate alone. He works with other people on the team to support and drive business, answer customer questions, answer prospect questions, turn around information faster, all those things. A simple example of one of the frustrations that customers face is a customer calling about a shipment. Where's that shipment stand? So, I track those things in my CRM system, but if I have to go put them on hold and go pull up the accounting software, or worse, I have to go down the hall or virtually connect with my accounting person to ask what's going on with that order, that customer's waiting, maybe patiently, maybe not, but there's just this delay in getting them the information. So not only are these silos causing frustrating experiences, they're costing your business real time, real salary costs, because you aren't moving as fast as you could be. Now, again, this session is about CRM, so I kind of flip through this very quickly. If you want to talk more about why CRM is important, feel free to reach out to me. But definitely, this is the promise of CRM, to address those questions, those concerns, get rid of the silos, stop the fragmented teams from happening. With CRM, you can have all that information in one place. The two primary benefits of CRM is bring all the data in your company into one place, whether that data is coming from salespeople doing their jobs, from your email, you can file email easily, your calendars, your accounting data, your operations data. So all of this stuff goes into the CRM, so it's all in one place, so your people can make informed decisions and have everything that they need to serve the customers better. The second piece of what CRM does really well is it creates process controls, automations. And this streamlining of operations is really a big element in the modern small, medium-sized business's strategy to succeed and thrive. We need to all run leaner, meaner, more profitably. And so with CRM, you can set up processes that help your people know what steps to take when, and the system can dynamically adjust based on the product, the type of customer, the day of the week if you wanted, but the system can automatically adjust those steps in a dynamic fashion to allow your people to make the most choice at each step. And the other piece of that is automations. So for example, if I send a quote out today, my CRM can send out a reminder and remind me to follow up in a couple of days. And that's just one simple example of how CRM can help make sure that we're delivering those consistent, high quality experiences. And really, what does CRM do for us? It helps us get organized. So all the data is in one place. It helps us keeps us on task. So with those automation, the reminders, the calendaring, it helps make sure that we know what the next step is. It makes sure that we don't miss any steps in our processes to ensure that that customer and that prospect experience and partner experience is A+ every time. CRM is wherever you go. This is kind of a basic thing these days, but if you have a mobile team, and the COVID certainly highlighted this for a lot of companies, where it's important that we're all mobile these days. Virtual. It's always been important for salespeople, in my opinion, but definitely COVID has really highlighted this. And CRM is mobile. It's you can get to it from a browser, you can get to it from a mobile app. It allows you to be on the go and still be connected with your team in your office. CRM helps you make smart decisions. So a lot of our customers, before they get CRM, they struggle. They don't really know a lot of the key performance indicators that drive their business. So how long is my average sales cycle? Does my sales cycle differ from product to product as far as turnaround time? What is our retention rate? What is our close rate? These are pieces of information that, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. That's an age-old adage that I believe is 100% true. And so CRM will help give you that information and allow you to make smart decisions that can improve your business, improve your services, improve your customer and prospect satisfaction, which will drive additional revenue. I can't stress the importance of that. And again, if anybody wants more information about any of these things, ask a question in the chat. I'm happy to go into it. I'm going to zip by this here today, but I could speak about all this slide for probably hours if I needed to. So if you want more information about it, just definitely reach out. And then the final thing is CRM connects you with your customers. And this is probably a no-brainer, but you can put a portal on top of CRM. And so a lot of people don't think about this, but if you think about the convenience of Amazon and being able to check your order status, to inquire about things, to get information about your account, you can do that with CRM, with dynamic CRM, and it's not going to cost you a huge amount of money. It's designed for small and medium-sized businesses to create portals with customers, prospects, suppliers, and stay connected. Excuse me. And it's a double win because more and more companies these days and people, individuals, expect 24/7, 365 access to their information that they want. They want it when they want it, and they don't want to wait for your office hours. So by putting a portal out there, you create this opportunity for people to engage with you anytime they want. And so that's awesome. It's an extra value for them, but it also frees up your people to focus on more value add important things that they should be doing with their time, not answering some of these probably basic questions like where's my order status, which is important, but if you can give customers that access to that information so that they can see where things are in the queue, that will free your people up to do more value add activities. So once you've done all those things with CRM, it will lead to a more unified collaborative team, consistent follow-ups, personalized experiences. You're going to be able to become both effective and efficient with your time. So effective, of course, is doing the right things, and efficient is doing things the right way. So you combine those two things, and you have a lot of power in your team because there'll be less missteps, customers will be more satisfied, et cetera. And ultimately, that's what it leads to is CRM, when it's done right, allows you to deliver consistent, high-quality experiences. And this is what the new reality of the world looks like. You have happier customers, happier prospects. That leads to repeat business. Repeat business leads to lower stress for you and your teammate. The whole organization runs smoother, which that leads to happier customers. Study after study shows if our employees are happier, our customers are happier. So it's a virtuous upward spiral with CRM. You will be happy and singing and dancing before you know it. So those are all very good things. So now let's talk about why we're here today. There are roadblocks to CRM, and it should be noted that, and if you've gone through CRM before, if you're using CRM right now, you might be struggling with it. That's not uncommon. I don't know if it gives you any comfort, but I'm sorry, I need to clear my throat. Hold on one second. And I don't know how to mute this. Sorry about that, everybody. But so I don't know if you're already trying to roll out CRM and you're struggling, but it is not uncommon. 40 to 70% of CRM projects fail. And what does that mean? That means within 12, 18, 24 months, the project has gone belly up, and no one's using it, or they're using it as a very expensive glorified Rolodex. And so it's something to be aware of. The real challenge there is not the loss of investment. Yes, no one wants to lose money, especially small business owners. I'm a small business owner myself. I know every dollar to me is precious. But the real problem is if you're putting in CRM, you're probably responding to a threat to your business. You need to be more competitive, all the things that we just talked about. And so going down the wrong path for 12, 18, 24 months, that's deadly because in that time period, your customers, your prospects are being more agitated. Your competitors are possibly getting further ahead. So it's that cost in lost opportunity of time, and you can't recover that calendar time. So the point of today's session is to talk about how do we avoid that? How do we avoid these common challenges that are out there? So some of these common challenges that we see in companies that are struggling with CRM is they don't have anyone responsible. So there's nobody that's actually pointed out as the person who's going to lead the internal team to success with CRM. And if you think about your accounting software, everyone has a CFO, an accounting manager, a controller, someone that is making sure that no one's putting in invoices on the back of envelopes, or trying to just take an inventory out of the warehouse without marking it down properly. If you don't have a similar type of role in CRM, to manage your CRM, that's going to lead to some massive problems for you. You probably don't have a roadmap to success. If you're struggling with CRM, you probably don't have a roadmap to success, and that's not uncommon. A lot of small businesses, that we've all bought into this. There's this philosophy out there, this myth really, that you can just turn on CRM and you're going to be successful. That is definitely not true. A big part of success is knowing where you're headed and how to get there. So it's important. People try to do too much too soon. I just ran into this just last week with a prospect that had spent, $200,000 to do unfortunately, their consulting firm that they brought in had them do everything and anything that they asked for. And it was just a big, massive project. It's just a big challenge with CRM is culture and adapting to change. And so if you do too much, not only does it increase your budget, increase the risks, it also will overload your people. And so that also will increase your risks. So not only just the risk of too much functionality being implemented, but too much change for your people. Wrong or no guidance. So this is self-serving, obviously. So we're a consulting firm. We specialize in CRM success. But I see a lot of firms out there that think they could just give, Salesforce is I think the biggest guilty party is just give them a credit card, turn on the licenses, and you're going to be off to the races. Not true. And then not enough focus. So treat it seriously. Hopefully, hearing that failure rate kind of just expressed that way helps you understand what's at stake here. But you need to focus on it. You need to treat it with respect. This isn't, again, it's not just turning it on and going for it. You got to have focus on it. You got to make sure that the people are understanding it's a big initiative, and we all respect that there's a cultural change going on. So let's talk about some specific things to do to make sure that you can avoid these challenges. First and foremost, I already said this was like the most important thing, and in my opinion, this is number one with a bullet. So you need to choose a champion. We call it a project champion. You can call it whatever you want, but essentially, this is someone inside your team that takes ownership of a project. They must have real authority. That might be because they're management. It might be a boss, but it could also be temporary authority or shared authority. So a lot of times we'll see someone more of a sales and marketing assistant take on the champion role, and they're bestowed with authority to, wrap the salespeople and the service people on the knuckles if they aren't following the guidelines. And this person will help work with a consulting firm with like us and set expectations, set timelines, make sure people are following through. There'll be a liaison with your stakeholders. Stakeholders is just a fancy way of saying your end users, the key people that are out there making sales happen, doing the services, taking the customer calls, taking the prospect calls. Make sure that those things are happening. They're going to ensure there's make sure that the people have access, make sure that there's buy-in. They're going to do training. They're going to solve problems. And I don't mean technical support problems. I mean usage problems. Like if you see Susan, salesperson, is struggling with CRM, sit down and talk to her. Don't dismiss her problems. Listen to her and just see what we could do to fix those problems and make sure she understands that she has someone there to support her. But also make sure that Susan, salesperson, understands that we're going forward with this no matter what. So the goal is not to struggle and complain, but to actually solve problems together and to move forward together as a team. So the champion is an important role. Usually it's not the VP of sales. People always ask, well, is it the VP of sales? No, it's not, because those people have a primary responsibility of driving revenue for the business. So it's usually someone that has, again, temporary authority or very limited authority around making sure people are complying with the system. And they have authority to narc out their fellow employees to the boss if they need to, move things forward. Second thing is make a plan. So you need to define what is success going to look like for us, and then how do we get there? It's no different than taking a road trip across the country. You wouldn't just, well, most of us wouldn't just jump in a car and just head to a destination. We'd figure out how we're going to get there, figure out alternate routes. We'd load up the car with supplies. We'd figure out where we're going to stop if we have to stay overnight. Make a plan. Identify what you're really looking to get out of CRM. A lot of people, their goals are very common across small businesses. Improve customer retention, increase sales per sales rep, increase sales per customer, streamline operations. CRM is more than just sales, so definitely don't be afraid to kind of go beyond the walls of sales to figure out how to streamline operations across your entire team. But you're going to need to identify those things. What is it going to look like when we're successful? So you're going to want to set clear goals, set clear milestones, create an action plan. Who's going to do what when? How are we going to make sure people are trained? How are we going to make sure people are using the system? What are we going to do if they aren't using the system? What is our recourse? And so have these things planned out beforehand, so you understand what success looks like. The last bullet point here is really a stressor for me is don't underestimate the complexity of the project. So I see too many people dismiss it, and they are surprised that they aren't really seeing the adoption that they want. After a period of time, you got to understand that there are a lot of moving parts here. Most of them are human beings. It's not the technology. How are you going to get your people to adapt to the change, absorb the change, really start to use the power of CRM to reach their goals better? And then let's get started. So again, plans only work if we execute on them. So, fail to plan to fail, but then you need to execute the plan. So a big piece of this is a philosophy. And a lot of what I'm talking about here is philosophy and psychology more than it is technical. And that's probably already clear, but most of what we do is all about managing user expectations, managing change. And so one of the things I advise everybody to think about is don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. We get people coming to us all the time who are using spreadsheets and Outlook, and they're struggling to stay on top of their sales. Things are inefficient. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So even a little bit of CRM is going to be better than what they have today. So just understand that it's a journey, not a destination. So just start simple, crawl, walk, run. Don't try to do those big bangs. And if you are working with an advisor, either internal or external, don't let them lead you down the road of trying to do everything at once. One of my biggest challenges is when I talk to customers is because CRM is so freaking cool and it can do so much to change your business. A lot of people have a laundry list of wishes and wants from day one. My job, and it's an ugly job sometimes, is to say, slow down. Let's just do simple first, get the system in. Once you see it, you'll understand, you'll start to know what you don't know. That's a common phrase, is I don't know what I don't know. Well, start simple and then you iterate, improve the system as you learn, build good habits, and just slowly and steadily change the system and change some of your culture at the same time. There's an old saying in CRM that CRM is not the software. It's a set of methodologies and processes to serve our customers better through technology. And the technology's on the end of that phrase. And so for most of my small business customers, though, CRM is the software first, and then we put the culture in around it. So we try to help bake that into the cultural changes into the technology. That's kind of how we do it. But definitely crawl first. Don't try to go off and do a 5-minute mile day one. You'll just trip over your feet and it won't go well. The next thing is explore your system. So CRM is amazing. Microsoft Dynamics is just out of this world crazy with features, and Microsoft continues. If you are already a Microsoft customer using Office, Teams, or Dynamics, Business Central, or CRM, one of the biggest things that's going on right now is the constant change. And sometimes it's hard to keep up with it. But the cool thing about it is there's huge opportunities to keep improving. And Microsoft is doing just a phenomenal job of listening to all of us business people and saying, here's some neat things that will help you reach your goals faster. The things that we can do with Dynamics today are amazing compared to what, 20 years ago when I started out with CRM. Things that would take me months to do for my customers, we can do in hours, days or hours. So it's amazing. There's a lot of really cool things out there. So try things, try to use some of the advanced functionality. There's things like playbooks, marketing lists, automations that you can use. There's a whole set of tools called the Power Platform, which will allow you to build custom apps, both mobile apps, but also custom screens within your Dynamics environment. Really cool stuff. Write down how those things work, write down what works, what doesn't, get questions. We always encourage our customers to create what we call a wish list. Sometimes it's a complaint list, but definitely you want to keep lines open between the frontline end users and the champion to write down their complaints. I mentioned this before. Don't dismiss your user complaints. There's this. I see this happen on regular occasion where management wants CRM because they understand the power of what CRM can do for their business as a whole. But at the end of the day, serve your end users, the people on the front line, the sales people, the service people, the marketing people. It's those people and making their lives easier. That's going to make your CRM system, or it's going to break it. So help them reach their goals, make their lives better, treat their concerns, their complaints with respect, and try to improve on those things. And if you do that, then their goals will be met, and then management goals will be met soon after. It's very hard to do it the other way around, where you focus on management and reporting and getting all the data in there for these awesome reports, and you have spent zero time on how to make the salespeople or the service people's lives better. Start there. Don't go it alone. Again, this is a self-serving comment, but take advantage of expert guidance early and often. So maybe you don't want to hire a consulting firm, you don't have the budget, or you don't feel like you have the need to do it. There's a lot of resources out there for Dynamics to help guide your path, guide your journey, and just tap into that. Obviously, using a firm like ours, there is an investment, but overall, what it's going to do is it's going to shorten your cycle to getting up and running with CRM, reaching your goals faster, start generating returns on your investment very quickly. Our average implementation, people always ask me, well, how fast can I get up and running? We can get you up and running within 3 to 6 weeks. And that's based on principles of best practices. We can move faster. We don't encourage it because, again, we've got a structured, proven methodology. So we'll say, you want to take each step seriously. We've helped people get up within a week. It's generally best, though, to plan 3 to 6 weeks. You're going to be up and running with CRM, and then we do some coaching once you're up and running. But the goal is we can accelerate that. There are, I'm probably not exaggerating, tens of thousands of blogs and videos and guidance out there to figure out CRM on your own, dynamic CRM on your own. That's awesome. And if you want to do that, just take advantage of those guides, find a good one, and just stick with it. But there is a lot out there. So in some ways, it's almost like you can be overloaded with information and guidance. So just if you are going to go on your own, just understand it's going to take a little bit longer. So just be prepared for a longer implementation cycle to get it up and running. Don't get discouraged. So I've already mentioned this, CRM is a journey. It's not a destination. A lot of people think of it as a destination that I'm going to turn it on and all of a sudden my business is going to be humming along. It's going to be beautiful. Don't think about it that way. Think about it as it's never going to be perfect. Think about it as a transformative tool that's going to help you do business better, help serve your customers better, help serve your colleagues better, your teammates, each of your individual employees, your partners better. And so, like with anything, you're not going to want to rest on what it looks like. You're going to keep iterating, you're going to keep improving, you're going to take feedback, and based on changes in your industry, changes in your company, you might add new product lines, you might want to reorganize around different vertical markets. CRM will adapt to you. So you just got to understand, you won't be a CRM expert from day one. Your CRM system won't be perfect, but with the right guidance, you'll be doing great by day 100. So some of these tips and tricks here hopefully will kind of help you understand from a philosophy standpoint, how you get through the first 100 days. And now let's talk about a specific timeline for the first 100 days. So this is what it looks like for a typical customer of ours. So the first 3 to 6 weeks, you can get up and running with the system, and you'll conduct the initial configuration, you'll streamline the software, personalize it. What that means is, just changing out some fields, make the language yours, use industry specific language for your people to better absorb it, and do your training. So again, that's 3 to 6 weeks. Once you're up and running, then what it looks like is we shift into coaching. And I used to tell people, I tell people this all the time. We used to do on-site training. We'd fly someone on to our customer sites, and we'd do a week-long training session. And what we found though is our customers didn't like that, because first and foremost, the salespeople are busy, the service people are busy. They don't have time to be sitting in an office learning about CRM for 3, 4, 5 days. And people didn't pay attention because they are busy, and this is the era of distractions. So people weren't getting much out of it. So now what we do is, in that 3 to 6 week period, we do cursory basic training to get people up and running and starting to use the system confidently. And then once you go live, we're going to do oversight and scheduled coaching sessions. So we've done this enough times that we know once people start to actually use it, they'll take it more seriously. And then there's going to be some struggles. There's going to be some bumps in the road, if you will. And so we'll do some coaching sessions designed to address those specific topics. You can almost think about it as frequently asked questions that we've seen a bunch of times that will smooth over those rough spots. Begin capturing issues and wishes. I already mentioned this before, but this is an important part of the process, because what you want to instill right away is a culture of positivity and not a culture of negativity. Too many CRM projects, and I don't know where you all have been in your careers, but too many end in people complaining at the water cooler, either a virtual water cooler or a real water cooler, about how the system stinks and how it's awful, and they figure out ways to get around using the system just to appease their bosses. So what we want to do is early on capture those issues, capture those wishes, treat them seriously, and just start to absorb those. And I'm going to get back to those wishes in a second here. You're also going to want to begin daily monitoring of user activity. This is important. It sounds onerous, but there's great reports in the system that you can just go in and quickly check, are people putting things into the system? And the reason why that's important is you don't want to wait until a month or 2 or 3 have gone by to figure out that 70% of your sales team, your service team, has not been using the system at all. At that point, you've already set up a culture of disuse, and you're going to have your work cut out for you to turn that around. So daily monitoring in that first 4 to 5 weeks after go live is kind of essential. Use your CRM for sales review meetings. I talked to a customer just a week ago who told me that they're struggling with CRM, and I found out that the VP of sales isn't using CRM at all. And I said, what happened to using it for sales review meetings? And the answer was very sad to me. He said that he had started to do that, but then he got out of practice. Well, don't let that happen. Don't get out of practice with it. And, because what'll happen is it will turn into disuse. If you're not using it, if the management's not using it, if you're not showing it's a serious thing that you're going to use to check the health of the business, see where sales are, then that's going to spread through your culture like wildfire, and people are going to see it's not serious for management, it's not serious for me then. And obviously that's a cautionary tale, and it's not always going to be true, but it's just one of those little things that matter. So even management needs to have their knuckles smacked sometimes by that project champion, and a good strong project champion. This customer did not have a project champion, and so a strong project champion is essential to the mix. The other thing that happens, just kind of on the side note here, is definitely if everybody needs to understand it's important to adapt to this cultural change, and it doesn't matter if you're management or the person out in the front lines every day. Change is hard. Again, I said this a bunch of times, but you have to respect that change is hard for everybody. So just, you got to be vigilant. Once that first month is done and you're kind of starting to hum a little bit, continue capturing the issues and wishes. You're going to want to continue that for the rest of your life, honestly. So you're going to want to continue to iterate and improve the system. So capture those issues and wishes. We're not going to change anything just yet, but you're going to want to continue capturing those things. You're going to continue daily monitoring of user activity, and depending on your company and how things are going, you could shift to weekly monitoring at this point. But you're going to want to keep doing weekly monitoring. Again, you don't want months to go by and find out people have not been using the system. I have a lot of friends who use Salesforce. I don't want to pick on Salesforce, but I think they are the 800-pound gorilla, and so there's a lot of people out there using it, and they hate it. They hate it because it's too complicated. Their company set it up. It's a frustrating mess. And what they do is they will go in at the end of the month and put in all their activities because their bosses run the reports on the first of the month. So they've kind of figured out a way to work around the system. Are they using CRM? Are they getting any value out of the system? No, they are not. But they figure out a way around it. So, and then this is where I would say you want to plan what we call a remote workshop. So what you're going to want to do is that issues and wishes list should have started to fill in pretty nicely at this point. So take a look at those, and you would work with my team to do this, or work internally to figure out which of these things would give us the biggest bang for the buck. If you have 90% of your salespeople saying the same thing, they're complaining about the same thing or asking for the same thing, it might be worth investigating fixing that thing or taking advantage of their insights and improving the system by applying their wish or their change. And so the goal here is with the remote workshop is twofold. One is to actually improve the system, so make things better for your team, streamline operations even more. But the second thing, and to me this is the most important piece, is build a culture of iteration so your people understand that they are being heard, in that there's no reason to complain about the system in a negative way. Put the feedback through the feedback loop, and changes will happen over time. And we encourage you to put those workshops in that this last bullet point here, the beyond the 8 weeks, or the whatever period we're at here, probably a month 3 or 4 here, is to schedule those remote workshops on a schedule and a cadence that fits your goal. I would recommend you do it at a same time period every year, just get in the habit. So some of our customers do it once a year. Some of our customers do it monthly because they're larger and they have a lot of ongoing changes. So you're going to want to continue your weekly monitoring. If you feel you can get away with it, you could probably switch to monthly monitoring. I don't encourage that though. If you're doing with CRM, it'll be easier to do sales meetings. So you can, do weekly monitoring might just become your weekly sales meeting, and maybe you don't have all hand sales meetings, but sales management should definitely be running those looking through the dashboards, looking at what the team's doing, and starting to get that big picture understanding of where the business stands. It goes back to making better informed decisions. Once this data starts getting into your system, you're going to be able to see trends, patterns, what's happening out there, and you can start to make better informed decisions in real time. So very cool stuff. So hopefully that helps as far as the timeline goes. A little bit shameless plug here about how we help our customers. Again, we adhere strongly, crawl, walk, run. Our goal is to do the smallest project possible that will give you the maximum benefit, and keep your scope tight, keep your budget tight, and get you to a fast return on investment. We use a proven structured methodology. We've helped over 400 customers get up and running with CRM. In fact, we do everything with a money back guarantee. I think I have a slide coming up next that talks about that. It's fixed fee, fixed scope. There's no surprises, so you know what's going to happen. One of the biggest challenges for a lot of people that small businesses is they don't know what they need to know to even plot out their course with CRM. So our proven structured methodology with the fixed scope and fixed fees, what we're doing is we're laying down a roadmap for you that has worked over and over for our customers. And we're going to tell you, here's where you want to be. And so sometimes companies will come to me and say, Peter, that's too basic for me. I need to do this and this for sure. I admit I will push back a little bit because, again, I've done this so many times. My instinct is always to keep it simple, simple, simple. And so, but if a customer tells me, Peter, we absolutely need these things, we'll adjust our methodology. It's because it's a loose framework, so we'll adjust that. But again, it'll be a fixed scope, fixed fee. And that way we all know what the expectations are. We'll all know what the deliverables look like. And that makes things easier for all of us, and helps put you on the path to success. We'll also assign you what's called a concierge, just like a hotel concierge. They wouldn't do your dry cleaning for you, but they'll certainly tell you the different options in the neighborhood. And they might even run the dry cleaning over to the dry cleaner and then pick it up for you in the morning so you can get to your meeting on time with a nice, press close. So they're there to facilitate things, make sure you have what you need, make sure that you're sticking to the timelines, the deadlines, and making sure my team is sticking to the timelines, the deadlines. So they're there to facilitate everything, almost like quarterbacking. You'll also get a dedicated success coach. And a success coach is just what it sounds like. They're there to make sure that your CRM is successful, that you are reaching your goals with CRM, that you are running lean, mean, and profitably, and CRM is going smooth for you. But also they're going to be feeding you with ideas, best practices, tips and tricks. They're going to show you cool things. Over time, our success coaches get to really know our customers, and so they'll give you specific advice. So when Microsoft does their next wave, and they're doing these waves every 6 months, if there's things in there that we think that you would benefit from, they'll walk through that with you. I already mentioned this, but a lot of companies out there say that they're committed to success, they're customer oriented. We back our commitment up with 100% money back guarantee. I will guarantee one thing is we are not perfect, but we care about our customers, we care about your results. We want to align with your results, and we want to make sure that you are successful with CRM. So this is kind of how we put our money where our mouth is, and we just make sure that's all backed up. And that's about it. So I know I mentioned the Are You Ready for CRM? So there's a link here, and I believe it's going to be put in chat as well. But if you click that, it's just a quick little 5-minute quiz to see if you're ready for CRM. And if you want, if you're already using CRM, just mention that in chat or reach out to me, because we are going to launch that audit. So it'll give you some tips and tricks if you're already using CRM, like how to improve your use of CRM. So that's going to be coming probably the next 30 days. I'm happy to answer any questions now. I will also say, I know sometimes in these meetings, people are uncomfortable asking questions. So I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is LinkedIn, or hit me up on my email. I'm happy to answer questions. But I really do appreciate everyone taking the time to hear my my advice and guidance, and I hope it was useful for you all. But Angie, at this point, I'd like to turn it over for questions.
Thank you, Peter. And yes, that link did go into the chat. So if everyone would like to take a few moments and go through that, that would be great. A few questions came through for you, Peter. First one is, does CRM work with Business Central?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you already have Business Central, there is a CRM Lite within Business Central, which is great for just basic contact management. If you really want a lot of the benefits of CRM that I mentioned before, though, you will want to look at the full-blown Microsoft Dynamics 365 sales and marketing and service pieces, because it gives you the automation, the business process flow control, and just some of the other bells and whistles that full-blown CRM does. But out of the box, Microsoft Dynamics Sales, the CRM piece, will link to Business Central. There's a set of integration points to make life easy if you have both products. And then what a lot of people will do is you can always customize and tweak the integration. So great question.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, we've had CRM way longer than 100 days, but nobody uses it. Any recommendations for salvaging some value there on what we already have?
Yeah, that is, as you can imagine, Angie, I know you guys do this with Business Central and Nav. We run into that a lot. A lot of people have, for all the reasons I said before, a lot of people, their CRM has not gone as well as they would have liked. So it's always worth trying to salvage it. Going to another system is like one of those things where the grass always seems greener on the other side. In my opinion, it's not the technology, it's all its other elements I pointed to before, the psychology, the way you did it, but it's never too late to salvage it. A lot of times, if it's just a bunch of frustrations that people have, we've been given lists of, here's all the things that are wrong with our system. And sometimes our customers are surprised at how fast, like, we can knock out like 70% of the list with just like a session or two, just to improve things. And that helps get people on the right path. The other thing is, just reach out to me. We are going to have that audit that'll give some more specific, concrete advice on how to turn that around. But take the tips and tricks that I suggested today and see if you can start to apply them to your team. I would start first and foremost by just getting a roundtable of the key users together and saying, what are our complaints here? What are our struggles? And just start listing them out, and then just have a session or two where we knock out these things, change the culture into a culture of constant improvement, and then just build from there. Hopefully that helps. But if you want more specific advice, we do a lot of refurbishing of existing rollouts.
Okay, great. Thank you. One last question, unless anybody else wants to put any questions in the questions panel. We already have contact management in Business Central. Will that help me do the stuff you talked about, or is there a tipping point where you recommend getting CRM?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned this before. The built-in relationship manager in Business Central is nice. It's a great solid way to do some basic contact management and just staying on top of things. But really, if you want to, when I talk about CRM, I'm talking about the transformative stuff that will completely change your business and allow you to respond to customers faster. And in those cases, it's good to look at the full-blown Dynamics 365 sales, the CRM piece, because you can do business process flows, you can do automations, you can streamline and enable things that you just can't easily do with the built-in relationship manager. I'm not, anybody that's using relationship manager, I'm not making any knocks on that, but definitely the full-blown CRM takes your business up to a whole new level of streamlining, which is, again, that's where it's all about. Streamline your operations so you can be more responsive to your customers and prospects and partners, so you can deliver that consistent, high-quality experience. I'm biased, I sell and recommend CRM. I use it, internally. So I'm biased, but definitely full-blown CRM is amazing and will take your business to new heights. Hopefully that helps.
All right, Peter, I think that's all the questions that we have for you today. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to contact Peter or your account manager here at Inovia Consulting, and we would be happy to address those questions with you further.
Yeah, thanks, Angie, and thanks to everybody that attended today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what I've learned.
All right, yes, thank you, Peter, for presenting and taking the time out to explain everything to us about CRM and what we should and shouldn't do in our first 100 days. I hope everyone got some good takeaways from this, and we just want to encourage you to come to more of our webinars coming up. We do have a new round of training workshops for you to attend. You can visit our training workshop page at inovia.com/workshops for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits your role. And we do have more webinars coming up. So tomorrow we have ProCat, who will be presenting on how to build an incentive program for distribution centers. And also tomorrow afternoon, we have Target Team presenting on Beginner's Guide to Target. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's inovia.com/events. And Inovia has a podcast going on, if you have not heard of it already. It's called the Inovia Conversation, and we just want to encourage you to listen to the selection that our hosts, Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski, have provided to us. And you can find out all about the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's inovia.com/podcast. So check out the podcast selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. All right, well, again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Peter, for presenting, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Inovia webinar. Take care, everyone.